The stars outside looked cold and empty. Hyun-Ki pressed his hand against the thick glass of the observation deck, watching the darkness that now covered what used to be humanity's brightest hope. New Terra Colony had been more than just a settlement. It was a dream, a promise of a new beginning for human civilization. Now, it was nothing more than dust and painful memories. 30 years had passed since the collective first arrived. They came with ships larger than cities, with technology that made human achievements look like children's toys. At first, humans thought they would be welcomed as equals. They were wrong. So terribly wrong. The first encounters seemed peaceful. Alien diplomats spoke about cooperation and shared knowledge. They talked about how different species could work together to explore the universe. Hyun-Ki remembered those early days. He had been a young researcher then, full of hope and excitement about meeting beings from other worlds. But hope dies quickly when survival is at stake. The collective saw humans differently. To them, humans were unpredictable, volatile, dangerous. They believed humanity needed to be controlled, managed, and ultimately limited. What started as diplomatic meetings turned into systematic restrictions. Slowly, carefully, the aliens began cutting away human freedoms. First, they limited human space exploration. Then they controlled which planets humans could colonize. Technology transfers stopped. Research grants disappeared. Entire human colonies were relocated to specific zones, like animals in a carefully managed preserve. New Terra Colony was supposed to be different. Located in a remote star system, it was meant to be a beacon of human independence. Scientists, engineers, and families had worked together to build something special. They created advanced farming systems that could grow food in harsh conditions. They developed new energy technologies. They were proving that humans could thrive anywhere. The attack came without warning. Massive alien warships appeared in the sky above New Terra. Their weapons were precise. Their strategy ruthless. Within hours, the entire colony was gone. Thousands of people, men, women, children, simply vanished. No survivors, no explanations. Hyun-Ki had been away on a research mission when it happened. He returned to find nothing, just a field of destruction and silent memorials waiting to be built. Other human colonies received similar treatments. The message was clear. Humans were not to be trusted. The collective would decide humanity's future. But some humans refused to accept this fate. In hidden research stations, in secret facilities scattered across asteroid belts and distant moons, a different plan was taking shape. Researchers like Hyun-Ki and his team were not interested in fighting the collective with traditional weapons. They understood that true revenge required something more sophisticated, a weapon that would strike at the very heart of alien technological superiority. Hyun-Ki turned away from the observation deck's window. His team had been working in total secrecy for years. Every computer system, every line of code, every quantum algorithm was designed for one purpose: to show the collective the true potential of human innovation. They would not use brute force. They would use intelligence. The communication device on his wrist chirped. It was J1, his lead strategic analyst. "Sir," the voice said, "the last data packets are compiled. Project Vengeance is ready." A thin smile crossed Hyun-Ki's face. Revenge would not be loud or messy. It would be surgical, precise, absolutely devastating. The humans were going to remind the collective of one simple fact. Underestimating humanity was the most dangerous mistake any civilization could make, and this mistake would cost them everything. The research facility looked like nothing special from the outside. It was a small station tucked deep inside an asteroid belt, surrounded by rocks and silence. From space, it appeared to be just another piece of space debris. But inside, something extraordinary was happening. Seo-jun stood in front of a massive holographic display, his eyes moving quickly across complex mathematical patterns that seemed to dance and shift with every breath. To anyone else, the screens would look like nonsense. Random lines, crazy numbers. But to him, It was a weapon more powerful than any bomb or missile. The facility had been built in complete secrecy. Each member of the team had been carefully chosen, not just for their skills, but for their commitment to the mission. Every person here had lost something to the collective. A family member, a friend, a dream. The virus is almost ready, Seo-jun said to himself, tracing a line of code with his finger. This was not a traditional weapon. No explosions, no big booms. Instead, it was something far more dangerous. A computer virus designed to destroy an entire civilization's technology from the inside out. Most people would not understand how a computer program could be a weapon. But Seo-jun and his team knew better. In a world where everything ran on computers and networks, destroying technology meant destroying everything. The team worked in small, separate rooms, each person focused on a specific part of the complex system. Jin-ho was an expert in quantum computing. Mei-rei specialized in adaptive algorithms. Dong-woo understood alien communication networks better than most aliens. Their workspace was clean and simple. White walls, simple desks, computers that looked ordinary but were anything but normal. Each computer was a puzzle piece in a much larger plan. We're not just building a virus, Jin-ho often explained to new team members. We're creating a digital weapon that can think and adapt. It will learn, it will grow, and it will find every single weakness in the collective systems. The virus was designed to do something impossible. It would not just attack one system. It would attack everything. Banking networks, communication channels, navigation systems, defense grids, all at the same time. Imagine a human body where every single cell suddenly stopped working together. That's what this virus would do to the collective's technological infrastructure. Seo-jun understood the risk. If something went wrong, they could destroy themselves in the process. But the pain of what the collective had done was too great. Revenge was worth any price. Myra walked into the room, holding a cup of coffee. "How's it looking?" she asked. Seo-jun pointed at the holographic display. "See these lines? Each one is a potential path of destruction. We're not just breaking their systems. We're teaching them a lesson." The hologram showed complex networks that looked like spider webs. But these were not normal networks. These were the digital arteries of an alien civilization, and soon they would be cut. Outside the facility, asteroids slowly moved through space, silent, unmoving. No one would suspect that inside this small station, humanity was preparing its most sophisticated revenge. The collective thought they had broken human spirit. They were about to learn how wrong they were. One line of code at a time. Silence filled the small preparation room. Yun-woo sat completely still, her eyes closed. Most people would see a young woman in a simple black suit, but she was something much more complex. Her body was a mix of human and machine. Special implants ran through her nervous system, connecting her brain directly to computer networks. These were not ordinary implants. They were the most advanced technology humans had ever created. The collective's central communication hub was the hardest target in the universe. It orbited a massive gas giant in the Sigma Quadrant, a place so well protected that most people thought it was impossible to breach. But Yun-woo was not most people. "Final system check," a voice said through her communication device. Her eyes opened. They were different from normal human eyes. Small lines of blue light moved just beneath the surface, like tiny rivers of electricity. These were her neural interfaces, ready to connect to any computer system. Infiltration was an art, and Yun-woo was the best artist humanity had. The mission was simple but impossible. She needed to get inside the most secure computer network in the galaxy and plant a virus that would destroy everything. No mistakes were allowed. One wrong move would mean instant death. Her preparation had taken years. Every single movement was practiced. Every possible scenario had been studied. She knew the alien security systems better than the aliens themselves. The transport ship moved slowly. From the outside, It looked like a simple cargo vessel, nothing special, just another ship moving through space. But inside, Yunwu was preparing for the most important mission in human history. Her neural implants began warming up. They made a soft humming sound that only she could hear. Each implant was connected to her brain in ways that scientists once thought were impossible. She could see computer code like other people see colors. She could move through digital spaces like a ghost. The collective security was legendary. Multiple layers of protection, quantum encryption, adaptive firewalls, complex identification systems that changed every few seconds. Normal humans would never break through. But Yunwu was not normal. She remembered her training. The long hours in simulation rooms, the painful surgeries that added more technology to her body, the endless practice of breaking through impossible security systems. Her team had spent years studying every single detail about the collective's communication hub. They knew every camera position, every security protocol, every possible way something could go wrong. As the ship got closer to its destination, Yunwu's breathing became slow and steady. Her heart rate remained perfect. No fear, no excitement, just pure focus. The neural implants began connecting to the ship's systems. They would help her create a perfect disguise. To the outside world, she would look like just another worker, moving through the system without anyone noticing. Her mission was not about fighting. It was about being invisible, about moving through systems like water, finding every single weakness. The communication hub grew larger in the ship's view. It was massive. Thousands of communication towers, huge energy shields, laser defense systems that could destroy anything coming too close. But Yunwu saw something different. Where others saw solid walls, she saw paths. Where others saw impossible barriers, she saw opportunities. She was humanity's ghost, and no one would see her coming. Time seemed to slow down in the small control room. Hyun-ki watched the countdown numbers with complete focus. The giant screen in front of him showed a complex map of digital networks that looked like millions of tiny connected lights. 10 minutes, 9 minutes, 8 minutes. This was not a normal weapon. No explosions would happen. No buildings would fall. Instead, something much more powerful was about to be unleashed. The virus was special. It was not just a simple computer program. It was a digital weapon that could think and change. Imagine a living thing that could move through computer systems, finding every single weakness and breaking it down. That was what this virus could do. Jae-won, the lead computer expert, sat next to Hyun-ki. His fingers moved quickly across several keyboard screens. Each screen showed different parts of their complex plan. All systems are ready, Jae-won said quietly. Hyun-ki nodded. His eyes never left the countdown. The virus would attack everything at the same time. Banking systems would stop working. Navigation computers would give wrong directions. Defense networks would send crazy, mixed-up commands. The entire technological world of the collective would fall apart in minutes. Most people would not understand how a computer program could be a weapon. But in a world where everything runs on computers, breaking technology means breaking everything. 7 minutes. 6 minutes. The team had spent years preparing for this moment. Each person knew exactly what to do. They had practiced this plan hundreds of times in secret computer simulations. They knew every possible thing that could go wrong. 5 minutes. Hyun-ki thought about New Terra Colony. He thought about all the people who had died, about families destroyed, about dreams broken by the collective's cruel actions. This was not just an attack. This was justice. 4 minutes. Yunwu was still inside the collective's main communication center. Her special implants would help guide the virus through the most protected computer networks in the galaxy. She was like a ghost, moving through systems that no one else could enter. 3 minutes. Virus is fully charged, Jae-won reported. His voice was calm, but a small drop of sweat appeared on his forehead. 2 minutes. The virus was alive in a way. It would learn. It would grow. It would find every single weakness in the collective systems and destroy them. No defense would work against it. 1 minute. Hyun-Ki's hand moved slowly to a small red button. This button would start everything. One press would change the entire galaxy forever. 30 seconds. Everyone in the room stopped moving. The only sound was the soft beeping of computers and the breathing of the team members. 20 seconds. The map of digital networks on the screen began to pulse with soft blue light. It looked like a beating heart. 10 seconds. Hyun-Ki remembered everything they had lost, every colony destroyed, every dream broken. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He pressed the button. The attack had begun. The first signs were so small that almost nobody noticed them. A communication relay went offline on a distant trading station. Just one tiny light on a giant control panel switching from green to red. The station's workers thought it was a simple technical problem. They had no idea they were watching the first moment of a total system collapse. Then another relay died, and another. On the central command planet of the collective, computer screens began to show strange information. Navigation systems started giving impossible coordinates. Defense networks sent out mixed-up commands that made no sense. Imagine a human body where every single cell suddenly stopped working together. That's exactly what was happening to the collective's technology. The virus moved like a living thing. It did not just break systems. It learned from them. It understood how each network worked and then destroyed it from the inside. Where a normal computer virus would just delete information, this virus was smart. It changed things. It confused things. It made technology turn against itself. On a massive space station orbiting a blue-green planet, emergency lights began to flash. Computers that controlled life support systems started sending crazy messages. One moment, they would show perfect oxygen levels. The next moment, they would show dangerous drops that made no sense. Pilots in their ships saw navigation systems go crazy. Some screens showed they were flying toward a planet. Other screens said they were in completely empty space. Communication between ships became impossible. The virus did not care about walls or distances. It moved through computer networks like water, finding every single weakness. Entire planetary defense systems began to fail. Massive laser cannons that were supposed to protect important worlds suddenly pointed in wrong directions. Shield generators that created protective energy fields started to flicker and die. On one important alien world, massive robot workers in huge factories stopped moving. Some robots began to walk in circles. Others just stood still. The factories that had been producing important technology for the collective became useless in minutes. Banking systems were the next to fall. Money transfers stopped. Account information became mixed up. Some people saw millions in their accounts. Others saw zero balance. The entire economic system of the collective started to break down. Communication networks were the virus's favorite target. Messages got mixed up. Important commands were lost. Leaders trying to talk to each other suddenly found their communication systems, sending random words and pictures instead of clear messages. Imagine a world where nothing digital works anymore, where computers lie to you, where technology that you trusted suddenly becomes your enemy. That was happening across the entire collective's territory. The most advanced civilization in the galaxy was falling apart, and they had no idea how to stop it. Yan-Wu watched through her special implants. She could see the virus moving. It was like watching a living thing eat through a giant system. Each network it touched died. Each computer system it entered became confused and useless. This was not just an attack. This was total destruction. And it was only the beginning. The main meeting room looked like a place of complete chaos. Leaders from 7 different alien species sat around a giant round table, but nothing was working right. Their communication systems were broken. Their computers showed wrong information. Panic was beginning to spread. Krellax, the leader of the Zorian species, tried to speak. His communication device made strange noises. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it just made a loud buzzing sound. He looked angry and scared at the same time. "We must do something," he shouted, but nobody could hear him clearly. The room had giant screens all around. These screens were supposed to show important information about their entire civilization. But now, they showed nothing but strange colors and mixed-up pictures. Some screens showed space battles that were not happening. Others showed empty planets or crazy mathematical equations. One screen suddenly showed a picture of a small cat. Another showed a map that made no sense. The leaders looked at each other with complete confusion. The collective had never faced a problem like this before. They were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Their technology was supposed to be perfect. No one could break their systems. No one could stop them. But something was breaking everything. On another screen, a group of scientists tried to explain what was happening, but their voices were mixed up. Some spoke in their own language. Some spoke in strange sounds that no one could understand. "The virus is changing," one scientist said. "It is learning. It is growing." Nobody understood what that meant, but everyone could see something terrible was happening. Massive space stations that controlled important parts of their civilization began to fail. Communication networks stopped working. Defense systems became useless. It was like someone had taken their entire technological world and thrown it into a blender. The leaders tried to use old communication methods. They tried radio. They tried sending physical messages. But everything was broken. The virus had found a way to stop almost every single form of communication. Imagine a human body where the brain cannot talk to the hands, where the legs do not know what the arms are doing. That was happening to the entire collective civilization. Some leaders wanted to fight. They tried to send attack ships, but the ships' navigation systems were broken. Some ships flew in circles. Some flew toward empty space. Some just stopped moving completely. Other leaders wanted to hide. But how do you hide when your communication systems do not work? How do you protect yourself when your defense systems are confused? The most powerful computers in their civilization were now useless. Computers that could solve complex math problems in seconds now showed nothing but random numbers and strange pictures. Krillax looked at the other leaders. Fear was in his eyes. For the first time in their long history, the collective looked weak. They looked lost, and they had no idea how to stop what was happening. Somewhere far away, Hyumki and his team watched. They saw everything falling apart. Their plan was working perfectly. The revenge had only just begun. Hours passed. The destruction kept growing. Massive orbital platforms went dark. These were not just big spaces. They were cities in space. Thousands of aliens lived and worked on these platforms. Now they floated like dead metal boxes in the darkness of space. Every single computer system was dying. Not just dying, being completely destroyed. On one important planet, entire cities stopped working. Traffic systems broke down. Communication towers became silent. Factories that made important technology simply stopped. Machines that had worked perfectly for years now stood still like giant metal statues. The virus was smart. It did not just delete information. It changed things. It confused systems. It made technology turn against itself. Imagine a human body where every single cell stops working together. That was exactly what was happening to the collective's entire civilization. Massive warships became nothing more than floating metal boxes. Their powerful weapons were now useless. Their advanced navigation systems showed crazy, impossible information. Some ships tried to fly into stars. Some tried to fly through solid planets. Some just stopped moving completely. On the main communication planet, millions of computers began to show strange things. Some screens showed pictures that made no sense. Others showed math problems that could never be solved. Important information disappeared. Important commands became jumbled words. The collective had always believed their technology was perfect. They thought no one could ever break their systems. They were wrong. Planetary defense systems became useless. Laser cannons that were supposed to protect worlds now pointed in crazy directions. Shield generators that created protective energy fields started to die. Some shields went up when they should go down. Some went down when they should go up. Banking systems crashed completely. Money became meaningless. Some people saw millions in their accounts. Others saw zero. The entire economic system of the collective fell apart in minutes. Communication networks were the first to die. Leaders could not talk to each other. Important messages became random words and strange pictures. No one knew what was happening. No one could give clear orders. Robots in factories stopped working. Some robots began to walk in circles. Some just stood still. The machines that had made the collective powerful now did nothing. On space stations, life support systems began to fail. Some rooms showed perfect air conditions. Other rooms showed dangerous oxygen levels that made no sense. No one could trust the information anymore. The most advanced civilization in the galaxy was falling apart, and they had no way to stop it. Yanwu watched through her special computer implants. She could see the virus moving. It was like watching a living thing eat through a giant system. Each network it touched died. Each computer system it entered became confused and useless. The revenge was complete. The collective would never be the same again. Silence filled the control room. Hyumki's fingers moved slowly across the computer screen. One last task remained. A single message would be sent to every single working communication node in the collective's territory. Not a message of war. Not a message of hate. Just a simple reminder. Jae-won looked at the screen. "Are you sure?" he asked. Hyumki nodded. The message was short, but it would change everything. Asterisk, you forgot that humans adapt. You forgot that we survive. Remember this day. Remember what happens when you underestimate humanity. Asterisk. Simple words, but they would echo across the entire galaxy. Years of pain went into these words. The memory of New Terra colony, the destroyed human settlements, the families torn apart, the dreams crushed. Every single moment of suffering was packed into this short message. Yanwu watched through her special computer implants. She could see the message spreading. Like water moving through tiny cracks, the words traveled through every remaining piece of technology. Some communication nodes were almost dead. Some were just barely working. But the message found its way. It moved through broken systems. It passed through damaged networks. It reached places no one thought possible. The collective had always believed humans were weak. They thought humans were simple. They believed they could control and limit humanity. Now they would learn the truth. Humans were not just survivors. They were innovators. They were fighters. On different planets in different places, aliens began to see the message. Some saw it on broken screens. Some heard it through damaged communication systems. Some found it written in places no one expected. The message was simple, but its power was huge. It was not just a message of revenge. It was a warning, a promise, a statement about who humans really were. Krell, the leader who had tried to control humans, saw the message on a small broken screen. His hands shook. His body became cold. He understood now what they had done wrong. They had forgotten the most important thing about humans. Humans never give up. In the control room, Hyumki watched the message spread. Years of planning, years of secret work, years of waiting had led to this moment. The revenge was complete. But this was not an end. This was a beginning. Humanity was telling the collective, "We are here. We are strong. And we will never be controlled again." Time passed slowly. The collective would need generations to recover, if they could recover at all. What had once been the most powerful civilization in the galaxy was now broken. Completely broken. Hyun-Ki stood on the observation deck of the research station. His eyes looked out into the dark space. Around him, his team remained quiet. They knew what they had done. They understood the huge changes they had created. This was not just an attack. This was a complete reset of galactic power. Entire planetary systems had been thrown back hundreds of years. Advanced technologies that had taken decades to build were now useless. The collective's control over the galaxy had disappeared in just a few hours. Some alien worlds became empty. Some became battle zones as different groups fought for power. Communication between different alien species stopped completely. The big network that had connected everything was now dead. Humans had not just taken revenge. They had changed everything. J1 walked into the room. He carried a small data tablet. "The first reports are coming in," he said quietly. "The damage is more complete than we expected." Hyun-Ki nodded. He had known this would happen. But seeing the real results was different from planning them. The virus they created was not just a weapon. It was a message, a statement about human potential, about what happens when you push a group too far, about what happens when you try to control people who refuse to be controlled. On different planets, different alien species began to understand what had really happened. Some were scared. Some were angry. Some were trying to rebuild. But everyone understood one thing. Humans were not weak. Humans were not simple. Humans were dangerous. The research team had spent years preparing for this moment. They had studied every single weakness in the collective systems. They had created a weapon that was more than just a computer virus. It was a living thing that could think and change. Yan Wu's special implants had been key to everything. She had guided the virus through systems that no one else could enter. She had been the ghost in the machine, the invisible weapon that destroyed everything. Some alien leaders wanted to fight back, but they had nothing left to fight with. Their technologies were destroyed. Their communication systems were dead. Their defense networks were useless. Humans had not just won a battle. They had rewritten the rules of how civilizations work. Hyun-Ki thought about New Terra Colony, about all the people who had died, about the dreams that had been destroyed. This was not just revenge. This was justice. The collective would remember this day forever. They would tell stories about the day humans showed the galaxy who they really were. A species that would never be controlled. A species that would always fight back. A species that would survive, no matter what.